Hospital after an accidental shooting in northeast Oklahoma.
Not a cloud in the four-state sky. So let the warm-up begin as we're in store for temperatures in the 60s. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And NATO troops assemble on Russia's doorstep. We'll take you there.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
The Ottawa County Sheriff investigates a shooting that sent a 5-year-old to the hospital. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, authorities say someone attempting to shoot a dog or a coyote missed, and the bullet went through a nearby house and hit a 5-year-old in bed. The shooting happened early this morning at a home on North Main in Fairland, Oklahoma. The boy was taken to a nearby hospital in stable condition. Ottawa County Sheriff David Dean says while the investigation is still ongoing, they already know who the shooter is.
Luckily, the person that shot at the dog and missed came forward. So that helped out a whole lot. Right now we're waiting on a search warrant to do the house, and then we've got a detective going to get the gun and the rounds and find out where he was actually standing. If he wouldn't have came forward, then it would have been a whole lot harder.
Sheriff Dean says the shooter was using a rifle and fired from outside city limits. The Miami PD says it will use their drone to help with the investigation. Residents of a mobile home park in Weir, Kansas have 60 days to pack up their things and find a new home. Residents of the Bradford estate say they received letters on February 1st saying Scannell Properties has taken ownership of the mobile home park. It states they have until April 1st to pack up their belongings and leave. About 14 homes are on the property, and now residents say they're scrambling to figure out their next steps.
There's not that many home movers in the area, and we got 14 families that need moved and 14 homes that need moved. The temporary camping people, some of them been here for years, as long as we have.
Scannell is offering residents $1,000 to cover the current cost of moving and say they'll send an additional $4,000 once residents can prove they've moved off the property. Now, this property is just south of the site of the future FedEx Ground Distribution Center, although we have not been able to confirm the reason for the purchase. Joplin's Candy House Gourmet is gearing up for another busy Valentine's season. Valentine's is the second busiest season for the Candy House, and according to the National Retail Federation, Valentine's Day spending is up $2 billion more than it was a year ago. Shoppers are expected to spend an average of $175 this Valentine's. Workers at the Candy House make chocolate in the same building as the store, only separated by glass windows, a view that has continued to draw people in.
We have amazing customers who know kind of what our turnover is going to look like and when they can start getting their Valentine's Day stuff, and they don't have to panic because they know that we're going to be there to take care of them.
Candy House Gourmet is located at 510 Kentucky Avenue in Joplin.
That's some good stuff over there.
Yeah, it is. Well, you couldn't have asked for better weather in February. I mean, seriously, 60 degrees.
And not only that, we're going to get a repeat performance on Valentine's Day. In between there, however, a little bit of a cold front. But for today, I was actually just perusing some record highs, seeing how close we were going to get. So let's open up the daily almanac for this January the 9th. That record high that's indicated at Joplin Regional Airport would be 73 degrees dating back to 1996. Now, we're not going to quite get that high, but we actually did come really close to a record in Chanute from yesterday. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. Great looking shot outside of Television City. We were talking about our lack of cloud cover because we actually did have a little bit roll through, say about 9:30, 10 o'clock. Almost gave you an overcast feeling, but now that we've been able to push that off, we do have 60s on the board here at the noon hour. Let's go to Sedan and in Independence. 54 right now in Pittsburgh, and similar temps throughout southwest Missouri, where it's 54 in Monette and 55 in Carthage. Now, any of the precipitation that you see, a whole lot of this not even hitting the ground. The reason we know that is, number one, we called our boots on the ground at the weather stations. Number two, not even equaling trace amounts of precipitation. But what that means is if it's going to be this dry, yeah, we're still down 2 inches since December 1. So elevated fire concerns for today as our humidity has already plummeted down below 40%. It fell fast today. So there we are up into the high 50s in Joplin, low 60s. throughout southeast Kansas. I think we'll see low 60s in northeast Oklahoma as well. Future Track's going to keep that rain. Would be nice if we got a little bit of it. No, just kind of wants to roll through there out to the west. And like I said, atmospherically, not all of it's even going to be able to have an impact. Here in just a little bit, Tanya, I think Saturday is kind of the one that jumps off the page for everybody because we got these great, I'm not even seasonable. These are wonderful mild temps, if not warm, when we talk about mid-60s. So we'll jump into Saturday there and take a look at our timing and what we're anticipating precipitation-wise.
Wish we could just eliminate Saturdays and push everything else over.
But look at Valentine's
Yeah.
Day, though.
I know, but Tuesday's great too, so we'll just keep on pushing the warmth.
You just want to pretend Saturday doesn't exist.
I mean, I want to enjoy my Saturday. I got a lot of plans
I was
for
just about
Saturday.
to say that eliminates one of our scheduled days off.
I know. I don't want to lose it, but I want it to be beautiful.
I got you now.
Gotta be beautiful. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, in the crisis over Ukraine, U.S. allies are negotiating for peace and preparing for a possible war. French President Emmanuel Macron met with Ukraine's president yesterday and said the standoff with Russia could go on for weeks and months. At the same time, NATO forces hoping to encourage Russia not to invade Ukraine are holding a series of war games in nearby Estonia. Charlie D'Agata is there.
British and Estonian tanks square off against each other in a snowy wasteland not far from the Russian border. NATO partners locked in a simulated battle. With the massive Russian military escalation near Ukraine sending jitters throughout this entire region, these war games have never been more real.
If a conflict were to break out in this region, these are exactly the conditions they'd be dealing with. Deep snow, a difficult terrain, limited visibility against an enemy that far outnumbers these forces in terms of troops and weaponry.
The Baltic states lie right along the borders of Russia and Belarus, each home to a multinational NATO battle group. American reinforcements have been deployed to Poland and Romania, while Moscow has sent tens of thousands of forces to Belarus, part of a massive Russian military buildup. There are still hopes for a diplomatic solution to the crisis in Ukraine, but military preparations are never based on a best-case scenario. Charlie D'Agata, CBS News, Lasna, Estonia.
That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, reducing restrictions.
More states across the country are dropping mask mandates for most indoor public places. I'm Bradley Blackburn with what the CDC says as hospitalization rates remain high.
And later, we're making skillet chicken and veggies in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Weighing public exasperation and declining COVID cases, more governors are dropping mask mandates, the latest expected to be New York. Other states are also planning off-ramps from COVID restrictions. But as CBS's Bradley Blackburn reports, CDC guidance has not changed, especially on masking in schools.
New York is poised to become the latest state to end mask mandates for most indoor public places.
Fantastic idea. They need to get rid of the mask mandate as soon as possible.
Personally, I would keep my mask on, because there's all these sorts of different variants still, emerging, and, we just have to stay safe.
Governors across the country are expressing a desire for a more normal way of life. Dropping the most visible public health measure comes as average COVID case numbers are down 69% from a peak of more than 800,000 on January 15th. But the CDC says other metrics are still too high.
We still have hospitalization rates that are higher than they ever were during the peak of our Delta wave, and similarly for deaths, still at 2,300 a day.
The CDC continues to recommend universal masking in schools regardless of vaccination status. School mask mandates will expire soon in New Jersey and Connecticut, despite the CDC guidance. In many areas of the country, it's up to local school authorities.
For Indiana, it's definitely too soon. It's great that our numbers are coming down, but we're basically looking at where we were at the beginning of December, and that's still really high.
Another reminder the pandemic's not over. The youngest Americans aren't yet eligible to be vaccinated. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Belarus and Russia. The Los Angeles County, the most populous in the nation, is still weeks away from lifting an indoor mask requirement. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
Today, we're sharing the answer to the most important question of the day. What are you making for dinner? Stick around, because it's a tasty one.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
You got to dive back in the record book about 3-4 years to find the last time that we had a span from about January 7th up to about January 11th that we're going to be in the midst of for really our next 3 days. We got 3 days left. Got 1 day down, 3 days to go. It's absolutely great. As we were in the 60s yesterday, and then look at that, about 9-10 a.m. That sun, it took effect, and it took effect fast to the point where we're throwing up 60s in the western edge of southeast Kansas right there. Earlier, talking about Chanute sitting at 58. Chanute made it all the way up to 68 degrees yesterday. 68 degrees, came within 5 degrees of tying the February 8th record, excuse me. Have to get up to 74 today. We're not going to quite get there. And the record for Joplin then, sitting at 56 degrees right now. That would have to be 73. But at the same point, just because we're not setting records, we really cannot complain. Two factors, one of them is similar, one of them is completely different. The nice thing is we don't have to fight the wind. Our wind's going to really give us a break. Pushing in from the west, we'll keep it at 5 to 10 miles per hour all afternoon and evening long. Thing that's the same as yesterday, my goodness, that humidity just bottoming out. So we do have to talk about our elevated fire concerns, and we're still holding on to a little bit of a wind chill too, and that's the result of that snowpack that just hasn't entirely melted for the eastern edge of southwest Missouri right there, with a low point of 43 that we see in Mount Vernon. Once again, the relative humidity and the dryness stretch all the way on the other side of the Canadian border. We cannot seem to get an opening. Eventually, we'll get a slot right here, and that's going to feed us some moisture out of the Gulf. But right now, everything's just kind of closed off. Imagine it just kind of almost capped right there. And this, of course, that's up by the Great Lakes, and they've got the trough of the jet stream, so they actually do get a little precipitation, but for the most part, especially when you talk about how hot it is out in California, they're going to start wildfire season extremely early this year. This right here, this is interesting, kind of eyeballed it all morning long because it looked like it was some flurries and even developed some rain in the Columbia, Jeff City area before dropping down toward Rolla. But because we looked at that map of the precipitable water and the relative humidity, none of that really hit the ground. They didn't even pick up trace amounts for the most part. Cloud cover is dominant, and where we see that low pressure system, that's that U shape that's over the Great Lakes right now. And then as we make our way up the Ohio River Valley, they actually are seeing some legitimate rainfall, and once again, we do about anything to have just a little bit of rain. Split jet stream, kind of interesting. You got one comes on the west side of the Rockies, one that sweeps in on the east side. But at the same point, everything kind of isolated down to the deep south right there as far as rain goes on our Wednesday. We'll get up into the low 60s later on today, and overnight you will notice a little clouds develop, but no rain involved in it. You're not going to need the umbrella. That is for sure tomorrow. As a matter of fact, tomorrow going to feel a little bit cooler, but actually still above our average highs. And we're just on an absolute roll right now. You see a little rain begin to work down there right on the Nebraska-Kansas state line, but it breaks up in central Kansas, really doesn't make its way to us. I don't even think the western edge is going to even receive trace amounts overnight. Then as we get into Friday, we're going to bebop back up into the mid-60s. And that's really going to be our high point as far as this work week goes, will be Friday afternoon, because when we get from Friday night into Saturday, you're going to notice a stark difference. Any rain or light flurries that we do see for Friday night into Saturday, that'll really be on the eastern northern edge of the 4 states. But look at what happens here. We turn Saturday morning in the 50s, and then down, down, down we go. Probably hanging out there below 30 degrees in some places Saturday afternoon. Right back into the 50s for Super Bowl Sunday. And if you and your significant other have plans on Monday, you are in luck, sunny and 65.
All right, and maybe you don't have a significant other yet, but you plan to get one this weekend.
Well, you better hurry up then.
You might want to break that cold.
I'm just saying, if you got that timetable, you better get on that.
It'll be nice on Friday. Maybe that'd be the day to do it.
There you go.
All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's 4th state hero, Sergeant Kenneth Miner in the U.S. Army. The soldier from Council Grove and Neosho Falls, Kansas, Joined the C Company's 2nd Battalion, 22nd Infantry in 1966. While serving in Vietnam, Miner earned the Combat Infantry Badge, the Vietnam Campaign Medal, and the Bronze Star. To Sergeant Kenneth Miner, we thank you, our 4-state hero. Looking for a recipe that'll help create good memories around the dinner table? Today, Howard shows us how to make skillet chicken and veggies in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
According to the U.S. Census Bureau, there are more than 327 million people living in the U.S. And I'd be willing to bet that more than half of them don't have any idea what they're making for dinner tonight. Now, I don't expect 163 million people to head over to our website for today's recipe, but I hope you do. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's easy, budget-friendly, and tastes amazing. To start, all we do is combine some water with an envelope of onion soup mix, some vegetable oil, a little lime juice, a bit of ground red pepper, Italian seasoning, and a good amount of garlic powder. Once it comes to a boil, we stir in some boneless, skinless chicken breasts that we cut into half-inch strips. Now, we let this simmer for a few minutes, then we toss in a package of frozen mixed vegetables. At this point, all we need is a few more minutes for the chicken to cook through and the veggies to heat up. Then it's done. And don't forget to throw on a pot of rice to serve this over so you don't lose any of that flavorful onion sauce. If you didn't know what you're having for dinner tonight, well, now you do. To get the recipe for our skillet chicken and veggies, just visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a winter dinner way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Out in the 60s all the way to the weekend. Couple key factors to point out. Number one, enjoy the fresh air. Number two, the cold front doesn't hit until late Friday and then drops us throughout Saturday, and it won't have any impacts on travel conditions. Number three, what a marvelous day to perhaps celebrate a birthday. You know the record high for your birthday, Miss Tanya?
Ooh, what is it?
Just happened 6 years ago, as a matter of fact, when Joplin got to 73. So we're actually not too far removed. A happy birthday to you, and I hope you get to enjoy beautiful weather this afternoon.
I like to bring the warmth on my birthday.
There you go.
What can I say? What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, a 30-second commercial in this year's Super Bowl. It's going for as much as $7 million. And some brands are releasing their spots early to help build a little bit of buzz. We're going to get a preview. Plus, 2 Columbus High School seniors helped launch a program to bring composting programs to not only their school, but the entire community. And the Quapaw Nation and 6 area law enforcement agencies hold cross-deputization agreements, allowing the tribe and its partners to better serve all citizens of Ottawa County. Hope you join us for those stories. A lot more is coming up on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dal. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.